Hi Reddit. I'm writing this because I don't want to talk negatively about my husband to people in my life, but I desperately need an outside perspective. I'm 27F, and my husband, 30M, and I have been together for nearly 8 years. Our relationship is for the most part great. He's supportive, caring, and attentive in many ways. However, our arguments have me second-guessing things lately. The way he speaks to me when he's angry has started to haunt me. I recently stumbled across comments from women who said their husbands never insult or demean them during fights. That's made me reflect on my own experiences. While I'm generally treated well day to day, arguments bring out a side of him that's much harder to ignore. He's called me vile names, lied to shift blame, and even threatened divorce. I've been brushing it off as him speaking out of anger, but the words linger in my mind long after. Am I overreacting? Or should I be more concerned about this behavior? Here's a breakdown of our story. My husband and I met during college. Back then, we were inseparable. He was charming, funny, and had this natural ability to make me feel like the most important person in the room. We both came from divorced families, so we bonded over wanting to build something better for ourselves. Despite our differences, he's fiery and impulsive. I'm more introspective and patient. We found balance. Over time, we've built a life together. We adopted a dog, bought a small home, and settled into a routine. He's great with my friends, loves cooking dinner together, and leaves me sweet notes when he knows I've had a tough day. These moments make me love him so much more. But our arguments have always been intense. He's quick to anger and has a hard time letting things go. I tend to shut down, focusing on staying calm while trying to de-escalate. It doesn't always work. We don't argue often, but when we do, he can be brutal. For example, our last argument started over something minor. He forgot to pick up groceries. When I brought it up, he exploded, calling me ungrateful and a fingbuk. He went on to list all the ways I supposedly don't appreciate him, accused me of nagging, and threatened to walk out. I sat there quietly, trying to absorb the barrage without reacting. I've learned that reacting only makes things worse. But internally, I was screaming. The insults were unnecessary, cruel even. By the end of the fight, he apologized, saying he didn't mean anything he said. I accepted it, but I couldn't forget it. A part of me wonders if his work stress plays into this. He's a project manager at a tech firm, and the job's demands have been relentless. He comes home exhausted, sometimes venting for hours. I try to be supportive, but when he's already frustrated, even small things can set him off. I've suggested he find healthier outlets for stress, exercise, hobbies, or even therapy, but he's always brushed it off. At the same time, I'm navigating my own challenges. I work in education, which means long hours and emotional exhaustion. I've started to notice how drained I feel when I'm constantly walking on eggshells at home, worried about triggering another argument. This isn't how I imagined marriage would feel. Last week, I was scrolling through a Reddit thread about healthy relationships. Women were sharing stories about how their husbands never called them names, even in heated arguments. One comment stuck with me. Disrespect isn't a sign of love, it's a sign of a deeper issue. It hit me hard. I've always believed that our arguments were normal, but maybe I've been rationalizing behavior that isn't okay. I've started talking to a friend about it in vague terms, and she's encouraged me to reevaluate things. The breaking point came a few nights ago. We were arguing about household chores. He'd forgotten to do something I'd asked, and when I brought it up, he snapped. The fight escalated quickly, and before I knew it, he was shouting at me, calling me names, and throwing his hands in frustration. I couldn't take it anymore. I walked out mid-argument and spent the night at my friend's place. That gave me time to think. Was I truly happy? Could I keep tolerating this dynamic? By morning, I'd made up my mind to address it head-on. When I got home, I told him we needed to talk. I laid everything out, how his words hurt me, how I'd been internalizing them, and how I wasn't sure I could keep brushing them off. To my surprise, he listened. He apologized, admitting that he'd been unfair and that his anger often gets the better of him. We've decided to seek couples counselling and for him to start individual therapy. He's agreed to work on managing his emotions and finding healthier ways to communicate. It's a small step, but it feels like a step in the right direction. I'm still cautious. I've read enough to know that words can turn into patterns, and patterns can be hard to break. But I'm hopeful. For now, I'm keeping boundaries firm.